every single day.
People want to connect with someone who... Self-expression is life. It is the challenge. It's a challenge of life. You can't get mad at other people for not seeing your vision.
It was all about a grind. Like I said, I was selling CDs, DVDs, and clothes out the trunk of my
Whatever
car.
it takes.
This is for the people. Don't forget that.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Hustle Chronicles podcast. I am here with Larry Amos, president of Doody Calls. Thank you so much, Larry. If you don't mind just starting off who you are, where you're from, and how you got into the business.
Yeah. Well, it's a pleasure. This is really exciting. So I was born in Baltimore and raised in West Virginia. So I'm a West Virginia guy, and spent my whole entire life there. And then left there, right? Couldn't get out of there fast enough, quite honestly. No offense to West Virginia. But after getting out of college, moved on and really started by accident into the retail business. And, it was just one of those things that I loved it. I loved the people. I loved the energy, the team development aspects of it. I really enjoyed it. So spent really my entire career, upwards of 20 plus years in retail. Wow. Management, leadership positions, corporate positions. And it really just, I kind of got to a point where I felt that I had no purpose. I was literally just executing things from a binder, right?
Yeah.
And took a year off to do some reflecting and figure out some things. This was literally, 7 years ago. Got a random call one day from somebody for a poop company or something. And and the rest was history. So as they say, yeah. And I did take the call, which is funny because I tell people all the time that if you'd asked me that when I was 25, I'd have hung up the phone. But yeah, I took it. And I'm glad I did. So
It's awesome. And do you mind just explaining what is Doody Calls and what the franchise system looks like?
Yeah, sure. So the company is 23 years old. And it's a service provider. And we literally come to yards. We service your yard. We clean up the yard. We clean up the pet waste or the poop for our clients. And we also go to communities. So when you're in these, dog parks, you'll see these green stations with bags. So we have a patent on all of our bags and all of our stations. And we sell the product and we service the station. So we replace the bags and you take the bag out like you would, garbage. We started 23 years ago with a couple, just guy and gal, got a wild burr up their rear and said, hey, I'm going to pick up poop. And today, 52 franchisees covering about 88 territories.
Amazing. And is there a certain area right now where you're covering?
Yeah, so we have some hot spots, right? Ironically, our hot spots are literally hot spots. Florida, Arizona. I mean, seriously. So that's really interesting. But yeah, we're currently in 24 states. So, we've got pretty broad coverage.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So I know that when you first started off, it looked very different. You weren't the president of the company. How did this experience working at Bed Bath & Beyond, how did that lead you to, who you are as a leader today?
I think that, oh gosh, there's so many things. I think I learned how to manage people, right? How to lead a team, a lot of collaboration. And in the position that I was with Bed Bath, I was in a corporate leadership position and was really kind of a liaison between brands, ironically, and here I am with Authority Brands now. But at the time, I was really, I had to learn how to communicate, how to motivate, how to inspire people, how to get things done through other people, a lot of people. Politics, learned a lot about politics. So taking all of that, I think, over to Doody has been really instrumental. I also think that, and I think we all struggle with this no matter what brand or what genre of life we're in. One of the things that I learned a lot about in my retail career was the importance of image, right? And the importance of branding, consistency, you know. So everything from, you know, your uniform to the way you provide service, it has to be consistent, and there has to be a high level of image because you're representing, you know, something bigger. So yeah, I have to bring that, you know, to the forefront every day.
And what does that look like for Doody Call? What would you say are like the key pillars that make, you know, depending on where you are, makes the consistency?
Yeah, I think, you know, we start with a ton of communication right out of the gate. Yeah. Yes, there is a poop school that you attend, and you attend, you know, classes on how to educate the team. Right. And then of course we have a robust technology platform in place that, you know, all owners use and we use to communicate with the owners as well. And then I think that, you know, for all of us, it's really, we're very, very deeply engaged in the core values of our company, right? And I have worked for companies before that they talk about values and it's just on a, you know, some random board. Yeah. We're really passionate about it, right? And so we hold ourselves, we hold the team, we hold, you know, franchisees all accountable to always delivering our values. Awesome. You know, yeah. So I think that's probably our biggest fundamental way of getting things done and being very consistent across the board.
So the people that you work with on the franchisor side, right? Obviously you've climbed the ranks, but what does it look like in terms of, have you brought people along? Have you hired new, you know, what does the structure look like?
Yeah, it's classic, you know, kind of corporate structure. I have a leadership team with, you know, vice president of operations and franchise development support consultants. We also have a national call center. So we have a call center director running the call center and an entire staff of call reps. So the structure it's traditional structure. And yes, I did bring folks with me. As a matter of fact, one of our business consultants, Jennifer, she worked for me when I was at Bed Bath & Beyond, and I recruited her over. So yeah, I mean, it's, you know, it's pretty straightforward in terms of the structure itself.
I know one part that you're really proud of is just your retention, right? And, you know, we're in the junk and furniture removal business. As you're aware, you have to really be able to create a deep connection with someone to be able to keep and retain them really long enough where you get as much value out of the person as the person does out of the company. So, you know, when you think about that, what comes to mind when you think of, you know, employee retention?
Yeah, well, first of all, I'd say I'd be a multi-billionaire if we'd ever crack the code on that one, right? I mean, it's like every time you turn around, it's like, oh my God, you know, retention and staffing. But I do think that, you know, the classic things that you know, we even talked about a moment ago, consistency is important. I think treating our employees as people is important. Yeah. So overlooked and, you know, sounds so cliche, but in real life, you know, really truly staying personally connected to the team. We also offer a lot of levels of flexibility. Yeah. So, you know, we don't do appointments, for instance, and we only operate in daylight hours because, boom, get ready. You can't pick up poop at dark, right? So we're only, you know, and we don't work on Saturdays and Sundays. So there are different elements of the company from an operational perspective that we use when, you know, when we're talking to folks and trying to get staff and then retaining folks. So even, you know, getting the team is struggle number one, of course, and then getting them on board. And, you know, we've been, you know, clever. We do, you know, snack bags for the team. And this is across all the franchisees. Everybody does it. We call it a wow table. Because our expectation is you're going to go out, you're going to wow a customer. So before you leave the office, we want to wow you. So little things like that, you know, and then we're very passionate about, again, the collaborative part, right? But our uniforms, all selected by the technicians. Wow. They vote, they talk about it, they like it, they don't like it. This one makes me sweat. This one doesn't. We're constantly looking and blowing it up and changing things. They want to wear shorts, no problem. So anything we can do to, again, just bring them along the way, keep the energy up. Because, and the last thing I was just going to say about that too, like I think all employers, we deal with the staffing challenges just like any other company. But ours is a little different because it's not a sexy job. So we have to get you to come pick up dog poop all day long. That's what you're going to do. Well, that's not real sexy. They'd much rather, work at a mall or be at a cool bar.
Sure.
So we always want to make sure we treat everybody, really, really passionately and personally, as we care. I love it. It's a hard job.
Yeah. I know when I talked to Elliot and he said, make sure you focus on KPIs and just all of your sales initiatives that you have. What does that look like? How do you motivate an average employee from, just looking at it as just picking up poop to getting them feeling like they're part of something bigger?
Yeah, it's a great question. So we translate everything back to service. So everything that we do is a service. Go to the yard, it's a service. Lock the gate is part of their service. So we are constantly looking at customer satisfaction ratings. We look at productivity because we have certain times that are expected in terms of going out and cleaning a yard.
Yep.
Example, the average yard takes 7 minutes to clean. So if you're taking 25 minutes, we're going to try to motivate you and hustle you, right? And then we'll pay bonuses. We also do commission structures. So for us, that's how we look at it. It's all about, we also look at driving patterns.
Yep.
That's another KPI we'll look at with the technicians. But at the end of the day, it's really just customer service, which sounds goofy because you think, what? You're out there picking up food. Where's the customer? You never really see any customer, by the way. But they'll let us know, right? So we know when you haven't performed good service, that's for sure.
Now, switching really and thinking about an ideal franchisee, right? Mm-hmm. What would you say if you were interested in buying into the franchise system? What would you be looking for in terms of if they would be successful or not?
Probably consistent with any other franchise system. You got to be engaged. You got to be a little gritty in terms of you got to roll up your sleeves.
Yeah.
I think one of the biggest turn-off words for us is absentee.
Right.
So the minute we hear that, we're like, ding, probably not going to be a fit, because you got to be engaged, right? Yeah. So I think that out of the gate, got to have all those elements, right? And then, again, the values fit. We talk a lot about that during discovery. We do validation, of course, and we talk a lot about that. So it's really, you got to be the right fit in terms of business-minded, roll up your sleeves, going to get out there and do the job. But you also have to be a good fit in terms of you're going to be able to fit in. We often, we actually have jokes at the office all the time because we'll say, when you are validating with us or you're coming to like your meet the team discovery day, that's kind of your dating phase, right? Yeah. But once you sign that agreement, like now we're married, and this is a long marriage. By the way, it's probably longer than a lot of marriages because it's like 10 years, So you better darn well be a good fit. And we need to, be able to connect. And so we're always looking for that as well.
That's probably different than actually a lot of franchise systems where they're just looking for your money and to get you to sign the dotted line. And instead you're trying to make sure that there's some sort of compatibility and you understand what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah. And I think it's, and I appreciate you saying that. I think one of the things that we always look at as well is we'll ask the question, define for me what your definition is of success, right? Because I want to make sure there's an alignment between the franchisor and the franchisee. If you on day one have a definition of success being a yacht and a private jet in the next 4 to 5 years, you're probably in the wrong system. And we have to be straight up before you ever sign anything.
Of course.
And I would much rather you just go somewhere else,
Yep.
and be happy and earn your success. Then we take your money and then you're ticked,
Yep.
and I'm stuck with you.
Yep.
Well, no. I'd much rather have no sales than a disgruntled or an upset, franchisee, right? So we have more fun when everybody's getting along.
I love it. And you could tell a lot about your leadership abilities just from the things you're saying, right? So when you think about what makes you a successful leader, what stands out?
Authenticity. I really think that and as I reflect on my career, and even in, talking to mentors today, when I reflect, I think the one thing that I have learned to do is just be me. Just be me. And if it's the right fit, sure. And I don't mean that in a cocky, arrogant way, right? Like I'm constantly evolving and constantly trying to learn. But I'm not constantly trying to be something I'm not. So whether we're going to be in a corporate environment, a town hall meeting, or a validation meeting, you're going to get the same person. I'm not going to put on a dog and pony show, right? And I think people pick up on that.
Absolutely.
I really do. So, and I think that's probably the most powerful, piece of the recipe.
One thing that I know is that you have a very well-balanced life, right? How does that play a part in who you are as the president, knowing that you're also trying to have like a fulfilling life outside of work?
Not easy. Not easy. And I'm not always in balance. I sometimes have to check myself. It's really interesting. Over the summer, actually, I just felt myself out of balance. Right. You just get that oh my God. And there was just a lot going on with work, and we were growing, and we were opening all over the country, and it was just a crazy time. So, I'm very proud to say, I go to therapy. I have many leadership consultant mentors that I work with all the time, and just stay really deeply connected with them. I'm an Italian guy, so I am very close to my family. So when I feel out of balance, I get with my family and have meatballs and, garlic bread and just pig out. And then I go home and say, oh my God, I've gained 25 pounds. Now my life's out of balance. Yeah. And then I also think that, in this job, it's so important to have routine and discipline. Again, overused words.
No, not at all.
But man, I tell you, and my team will tell you this, 5, 6 o'clock, I'm turning everything off because nothing's going to burn down in the dog poop world, right? We're not saving lives. Same thing with the weekends. For a while, I would get up first thing Saturday morning, get sucked into, 300 spreadsheets and emails. Yeah. And now I literally just say, I'm not going to do it. But, requires discipline.
Of course. Yeah. And I'm sure the results are a lot better because of your discipline.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
What does a routine look like? What would you say makes you a better leader? Yeah,
I say the routine for me is I love doing cardio, number one. So it always gets my blood going.
Love it.
First thing in the morning is the first thing I do. Try to, hit the treadmill or go for a jog. Never look at anything, including the phone. Like I try not to look at anything because once I do, it's like, oh my God, now it's noon.
Yeah.
So, that's, I'm very passionate about that. Kind of start the day off right. Right. Yeah. And the whole classic crazy thing, and we've all read this in a million books, make the bed. Like just have that routine.
No, yeah.
Get up, make the bed, hit the cardio, take your shower, and just every single day being very, very methodical about that. And then I do, always try to take some clarity time throughout the day. And I always think that's important too. I'll just go outside, go for a walk, leave my phone, leave everything. Just get up, walk out. And even if it's just, to the car and back, right, at the office, just to kind of clear my head for a second. So I try to do that every day as well. So it's little things, I think.
Great.
Yeah.
What does the future look like for Doody Calls?
Oh man, the future is brown. It's very brown. That's what it is. Yeah. What do we always say? We turn brown to green. That's what we do, right? I know you guys love the green stuff too, right? Yeah. I think the future is extremely bright for us. Really looking forward to 24 out of the gate. We broke some records in 23.
Congrats.
Yeah. Thank you. It's been blood, sweat, and tears, as we all know, right? Yeah. But I see us having a repeat in 24, quite honestly. And then over the next 5 years, I just think it's going to be, my hope is that the brand and the service becomes a household name, right? Like right now we know what a maid or a cleaning company provides, or a landscaper. Right. What we struggle with still today, and we could probably walk out in the hall right now and just grab someone's arm and say, hey, have you heard of a poop company? Have you heard of a poop or scooper company? And they'll look at you like you're smoking something cheap. Like, what? Huh? You do what? I want it to get to a point where no matter where you are, from an elevator to, a bar, you say you're in this business and people are like, oh yeah, I know what that is. Oh yeah, I know what that is. And we're not there, so.
What would you say are some areas where you see huge opportunity where you haven't sold franchises yet?
Great question. So we still have nice pockets in Florida and Arizona that both are pretty hot, i.e. Tampa, for instance. We have no presence in Tampa. Could be an amazing area for us. So there's definitely pockets there, but I would say our biggest opportunity when you look at the United States is Illinois. Oddly enough, Illinois, we have no presence there. And we have only one office in the entire state of California.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
And there's so many dogs in California. That's
crazy. Yeah. And that's, so, when you think about Chicago,
right,
to Sacramento, to, Hollywood, for Pete's sakes, we have no presence anywhere in any of those points. So
great, huge opportunity there.
Yeah. That's what I think when I think about the future. I think, we got a lot of work to do, but we have a lot of ground to cover, and that's exciting.
When did Doody Calls get acquired by Authority Brands?
So we joined the team in February of 21.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So some days I feel like we're kind of the rookie brand. Yeah. And then other days I feel like, my God, we've been around for 100 years. So because we're growing so fast, it's like there's 4 more people, 4 more brands. But yeah, it was February of 21. And we had not had, it was kind of a crazy story. We had not franchised.
Oh, I didn't realize.
No, we had, but we had not sold a franchise in 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? So February of 21, it had been 10 years. The founders were just, they were content, right? Yeah. And they liked franchising, but they also recognized the challenges. Yeah. And not that franchisees are challenging, but you know how that is.
Well, listen, we've talked to a lot of different franchise brands throughout this entire convention. And there's always one thing that I've really appreciated talking to brand presidents is some people succeed and some people don't. And that's life. That's not just franchising or, business in general. It's relationships. It's friendships. It's people who want to hit certain types of goals in their lives. Some people have the will and the grit that you've been talking about.
Yep.
And some don't. So I think that's very honest and, people appreciate authenticity.
Yeah. And that's what we were at that point, right? So 10 years did not open anywhere. We were just, coasting along, successful, but so February of 21, acquired by Authority Brands. By August of 21, we had completely built out a school. Wow. And we had nothing. We had stuff, but it was binders, training books that were, the brand was wrong. The language was 1978 language. It's the weirdest stuff that we had. And we were going through everything, dusting stuff off. So we literally, it was crazy. So we, from February to August, it was all hands on deck. And there weren't that many hands. Yeah. Rebuilding everything, rebranding everything. So then we'd be ready to go August, and opened 4 offices that month.
Does anything stand out to you, like the benefits of joining Authority Brand?
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of benefit. I think that the talent that we have around the table and in the room is just overwhelming. Like, I'm always just like in awe, talking to other brand presidents, talking to anybody really, other franchisees, to folks at the office. So just being surrounded by that talent, I think it motivates us and it challenges us. And then at the same token, it gives us deep resources of talent. I don't mean, not just because I know the standard corporate answer is, oh, well, we've got a lot more resources because we're a bigger company. And yes, that's true. However, I really thoroughly enjoy just the amount of accessibility that we have. I often say this, and it literally, only been 2 years. It's like I've gone and gotten 3 or 4 master's degrees, right? In just business.
Yeah.
It's overwhelming when I think about the amount of talent that we have.
And that means a lot for anyone watching. Larry's been at school and he's gotten all different types of degrees. So I think that means shows how much opportunities out there when you think about the Authority Brands and what that means for a brand.
Yeah. It's I love it, and I've learned so much about franchising and business, marketing. I mean, things that I just never would have been exposed to, quite honestly, right? Or I was in an environment where I just executed whatever was provided.
Yeah.
Now it's just, I love understanding how architects build out the marketing platform or IT. I mean, it's just a litany in terms of the list, just goes on and on and on. Love it. Yeah.
If you could have a billboard anywhere in the world, what would it say and why?
I probably would do it in West Virginia.
There we go.
I probably would do it in West Virginia. I was going to say I'm sorry, but I wouldn't say I'm sorry. I'm picturing just a big blue and gold billboard in West Virginia. It probably would just say home.
Love it.
Yeah, that's it.
That's a great answer.
Yeah.
If people want to reach out to you, if people are interested in getting into the franchise system, what's the best way to reach out to you? What's the best way to reach out to Doody Calls?
Yeah. So DoodyCalls.com, of course, would be probably your go-to, easiest one to find out about us. And you could even, log in and get a ticket and ask for someone to contact you from franchise development. We also have the call center. They're 7 days a week. So you can call 1-800-Doody Calls. Not a problem. And someone there will get you right over to us.
And if you're interested as a customer, you're tired of picking up your dog poop.
Yes.
You can also reach out to that call center and we'll do it for you.
Yes. And it's very affordable. People are always surprised. The service itself. Yeah. I mean, you're less than $20.
So is it based upon the size of your yard?
It is. Yeah. Well, it's size of yard and number of dogs. Number of dogs. Yep.
And to be a franchisee, does it require you to love dogs?
No.
Wow.
Isn't that funny? No. We actually just recently did a study and a whole focus group. And we learned that our customer and our franchisees are not dog people.
Wow.
Yeah. They are busy people who have a dog.
Right.
Totally different.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I always give, I call them my sisters, our sisters at Woofies. I always give them a hard time because they're dog people.
Right.
They're like hugging the dogs and they love their dogs. We all have dogs. I mean, I have a dog, but he's a dog. So I'm just like, you know what I mean? So we really, we target both franchisees, but more importantly, our customer. From a marketing perspective, we're constantly looking for the busy mom and dad.
Okay. What makes them tick?
Yeah, that's what we're looking for. And I always say, if you're at a happy hour right now, you'll always know dog people when you tell them what you do.
Yeah.
Because when I tell them what I do, they say, "Oh my God, people pay to have poop picked up? They shouldn't have a dog. If you're going to have a dog, you need to pick up your own darn poop, right?"
Yeah.
Because they're
total sense.
That's a dog person. Right. Yeah. Right. And where you say it to me and I'm like, give me your card, sign me up.
Yeah.
Sure. Like,
So-
I have no shame, no problem. Yeah. So it's very interesting when you think about it in terms like that. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
And if they want to reach out to you, what's the best way?
Yeah. You can email me, of course, at, what is my email? lamos@doodycalls.com. So just my first initial and last name. Or again, like I said, call the call center and they'll get in touch with you.
Any questions you have for me?
How'd I do?
Let the audience answer that. I think
I was gonna see if you wanted to like buy a franchise or anything.
maybe,
Right?
maybe. I just sold my franchise, but
Oh, you got to be bored.
well, I'm busy now, but maybe you never know. I could. We got a newborn at home, but
Busy dad. That'll be good.
what I think is your personality, your leadership, your authenticity, it really, I think, comes out very well through the camera lens, and I think everyone will agree with that. Very similar to your experience, I always get, oh, you must love junk and furniture, and if you came to my house, I'm a minimalist. I've seen the horror stories.
I bet.
People look at hoarders. People see like, okay, I would say the most common customer for us, their parents grew up in World War II, grew up during times where, money was tight.
Yeah.
And they didn't throw away anything. They have every single newspaper from 1960 to 2023, and their parents pass away. They now fly in from California to New York, Chicago to New York. They're looking for the sentimental items, right? And then what do they do, right? How do they then clean out an apartment knowing that they have to fly home?
Yeah.
And they're busy customers too, right? Yeah. So when I think about that, I always have the same feeling that you're describing, where it's like, whenever I leave this earth, whether it's tomorrow or years from now, I want to make it easy for my family.
Yeah.
I don't want to have clutter everywhere. That drives me nuts.
Yeah.
So for me,
That's funny.
I try to keep as little as possible in each room. My wife absolutely hates it. She thinks that I'm just, and absolutely out of
Find balance,
Right.
compromise.
Right. Like as soon as my kids turn a certain age, those toys are out of there. So I think the authenticity and just the realness of you, people would be crazy not A, to not use your service, but B, not to join the system if they're ready to leave that 9-to-5 gig and just have some sort of autonomy with their life.
Yeah. It's really a fun job. So hopefully somebody will give me a call.
That wraps it up. Larry, thank you so much. I
It was a
appreciate
pleasure.
it.
My pleasure.
Thank you, everyone that's watching the Hustle Chronicles podcast. Please like, comment, subscribe. YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts. I'm sure there's more, but for now, those are the ones that I know. Love you all. Thank you so much. And Larry, thank you so much.
Thank you.